Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. My name's Luke Elder. If you don't recognise me, I've been away on Bet Racing Nation for the last 2 days. But Adam Webb has done a sterling job of presenting the show. Unfortunately, he can't be here tonight because he's on his way back from York. But I am joined by Callum Adele and Michael Andrews, who you have been here throughout the whole week. Well, Michael, you haven't actually. I say a lie. Michael was absent the first day, but no one's perfect. So we're all back now. Just quickly, I sent my nap in last night, and mine won. I don't know about your guys' ones.
We only talk about naps when yours wins.
Exactly. I'm the host. I do what I want. But just out of curiosity, how many did your horses beat home?
Not many.
I'll stop there.
Beat the ones that didn't bother to run because of the ground. But...
It beat the normal. We'll get straight into it because we've got a mammoth 10 races to cover today. That's probably why Adam didn't want to come on. With the 140 at York will be the first race, and it's not an easy start, is it, Callum, by any stretch of the imagination? Your fantasy for the race is?
Where do we start? Which race is this? 140 at York, yeah?
Yeah.
Let me just wait to load up because I really don't know. I don't know where to start with this race. 20 runner handicap, you can give plenty a chance. Actually, to be fair, it's probably not as strong as you think because there's a lot of really exposed types in this and plenty lack progression. The one that stuck out clearly for me was Bronze Angel, who I really do think has got a handicap in him sometime this season. He's finished 7th, 5th and 4th on his last 3 starts, but they're in much better handicaps in this. And over 7 furlongs where he looked like the winner and simply just went on too fast to set it up for horses like Chill the Kite, I think he's a lot better than that, and I thought he ran a cracker again over 7 furlongs last time at Ascot. He's a Cambridgeshire winner in the past, so you think an extra mile would suit on a galloping track like this. I think he looks a clear standout to me, and 8 to 1 is a backable price.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that. The blinkers seem to have had a really decent effect. I think I started following first time blinkers, and behind Chill the Kite, that's the fourth sort of taken literally. Ran a cracker in the Hung Cup, was it Chill the Kite?
Yeah, ran a really good race as well. Really good race.
Bronze Angel was 4th behind Louis the Pious at Ascot, so he's in fantastic form. Martin Dwyer takes over in the saddle today. It's usually Haley Turner's ride, isn't it? But Martin Dwyer's no bad sort of substitute, is he? Of the others, Navajo Chief's been in decent form, well, on his one run this season. I know our good friend Steve Mullington put Navajo Chief up as a horse to follow for the whole season. Kieran Fallon gets somewhere with him, so he'd maybe be an each way play, but it's got a lot of weight, but does like it at York. But I'd be siding with Callum with Bronze Angel. But this is Michael's forte, a big handicap. I know he's been looking forward to talking about these races all week probably. So Michael, your fancy for this? I give him a big build-up, and nothing. Michael, is Michael still with us?
I don't think so.
Right, good. Give him a big build-up, this moment of glory, and no, he leaves me absolutely high and dry hanging. If Michael does bother to turn up at any point in this call, we will come back to him. But for me and you, Callum, we're going to move on to the 155 at Ascot's the Total Heritage Handicap. And we'll start with Intrinsic. We had a quick chat beforehand. We both have sort of slight reservations about the trip, you more than me. But we both fancied Intrinsic for the Wokingham, I believe.
Yeah, look, I think he's a really well handicapped horse and a potential group class horse in the future. It's just whether it's 5 furlongs is going to be too much for him tomorrow because there's a lot of pace on. They're going to go very fast, and he's unproven over it. I mean, this is a horse that started over 9 furlongs. He's albeit by Oasis Dream, but he's out of a Infallible who was a miler herself, and he doesn't necessarily look like he needs this 5 furlongs. And they've not really had much choice but to run here because they've had a few options to go to, and he hasn't got into the Wokingham. He hasn't got into another couple of races, and so I can see why they're here. But I do prefer others tomorrow because it is a very, very good race and lots of pace on. Like I said, Demora won really well at Musselburgh last time out, went out like a rocket and wasn't caught. The two that fought this out last year, or were up with the pace last year, Zero Money and Massimar, again, are real strong front runners. I'm going to go for Robot Boy, and the two of them, Intrinsic, Robot Boy, look really, really good horses to me, and Robot Boy, I didn't think he was one that could back it up off 92 last time out, and he absolutely bolted up, and the horse that finished second ran really well again today, so I think that's really strong form, and of 101, I don't think he's done now. Fast ground, 5 furlongs is ideal. You can just track the pace and then hopefully go on from there. And I think he's probably drawn where you want to be. I mean, there's a bit of pace on the far side, but near side is where you want us to be at Royal Ascot when the ground is fast, and I think he's ideally placed in 13. So he's the one for me tomorrow.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of pace. So it could go one of two ways. The front runners could get away, or the horses held up. It could fall into their laps. One of them, the race completely fell into his lap last time, was Top Boy at York, who, albeit was a lot lower with Adam McLean taking £7 off. Dale Swift takes over the ride tomorrow, but Top Boy's always one that's sort of promised to be a lot better than he's shown. It just hasn't really fallen into place. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on tomorrow. But I am going to stick with Intrinsic. I don't think 5 furlongs is really too much of an issue, especially if it is made a stamina test and they do go really fast on the outset. Me and Callum agreed last time he won under Richard Hughes, but it wasn't the best winning ride you're ever going to see. Ryan Moore got a good march on out in front on Ashpan Sam, and Richard Hughes got up on top of the line, but because of that, he only goes up about, I think it's £6 up to 95, which still looks a bit lenient. The only worry tomorrow, he's in the Stewards Cup, and undoubtedly that's going to be his aim for the season now after not getting into Wokingham. So I'm sure they'd be happy probably with a second and going up £3-4, or a place. Maybe they wouldn't want to ruin the handicap mark for the Stewards Cup, would they? The 32 Red Cup.
Yeah, get it right. Come on.
Sorry, God. Although we did mention about the prize money for the Stewards Cup, and how much was it for the winner? 60.
It's about 60,000, which is your usual heritage handicap, isn't it? I mean, it's the same for the Bunbury, and when you look at, I mean, I assume this race is 60. Yeah, it's the same.
So I wouldn't complain of winning 62,000, would I? But one point that I wanted to raise is that it was interesting that he was switched from Sir Michael Stout's yard to Robert Cow, who Robert Cow's got a big name for himself with sprinters, isn't he? Like Joala winning the Nunthorpe last year. So maybe they just realised they had a sprinter on their hands, because obviously with that breeding, you wouldn't really put it against them. They're thinking
he was bought. He was bought the sales.
Oh, was he?
By Cow.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, ignore that then. That's complete nonsense.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact Carroll bought him, clearly thought he was a sprinter, you know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But moving on to the 205 in Newmarket, I've just got a text as well from Michael saying his internet's gone. So I think we're alone on this one, Callum. Which is going to make it all the more fun. There's nowhere to hide for us now. I should also mention as well that I always forget to do it at the start of the videos. If you've got any questions or fancy, send them in to myself at Luke13 or Callum at Callum Adele. We're hoping Michael's going to return later in the video to help answer them questions and give our views and their fancies. But until then, we're going to forge on the 205 at Newmarket, the Sparta Bedford Lodge Hotel Mile, which that's what I'd probably name a race if I was going to go for it. And it's another wide open one. I know a horse that Adam likes very much is Idea, and he put it up in the horses to follow, but disappointed at Royal Ascot somewhat, didn't he? Yeah,
I think he could probably excuse it. I'm not really sure what to make of Idea. It might just seem a bit of a soft horse, if you know what I mean, because he's too big he's running big handicaps. He's disappointed. I mean, he was ninth behind That Is the Spirit race at York, and then I just didn't think he really wanted the fight when he ran in the Britannia. But in between then, he won really well against Extremity. So I'll be looking against him tomorrow. The ground might suit him a little bit more. But again, I thought the market had it pretty much spot on. The front two were the clear ones to be with for me. Token of Love, who won really nicely at Newmarket last time, and I think she's got a plenty more to give. But the ground is an issue, and there's less of an issue with You're Fired, who's going to be the selection, because again, I thought he really improved considerably for the extra step up to 7 furlongs, and I think he'd improve again for a mile. He was withdrawn last week because of the fast ground, so potentially he's one that will really relish this sort of test up at a mile, and he looks really unexposed to me. So he's the one for me. At bigger prices, I thought Championship's got a race in him, but again, he was a negative on the ground for me. Crystal Lake as well, who the form behind Matila and Pretzel is very, very strong. So this is a really, really good race again, and I'm going to go for Your Fight with a tentative selection, but it's not a strong one.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat as this. I like the way Lesher won last time. It sort of holding on, showed a really good attitude. 16-1 could be a fair enough price, but I'm not sure his handicap. Now, Crystal Lake is the one that I am actually going to side with. He was actually down to run today, but was a non-runner. You mentioned that form with Matila. That's really good form as Matila's now gone on and won at Royal Ascot. Was really consistent and improving the time before that. It's just such a hard race to sort of nail your colours to anything, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can see where Adam's coming from with Idea. Again, another progressive type. Didn't really go his way last time out. Maybe you can give that one another chance. Hunter's Creek's also another one at a fairly big price that I wouldn't give up on just yet, especially with them connections. But I tentatively nail my colours to Crystal Lake, I think. But now moving on to a race that I hope we've got a bit more of a view on with the 220 at York, which is the John Smith Silver Cup. So not as many runners, but is there a confident selection here, Callum?
I wouldn't say confident, but there's one at a price that I thought was a little bit overlooked, actually considerably overlooked, and that's David Simcock's Moment in Time, who she's a good filly, really good filly on her day, and I just thought potentially she was one that had a real chance because she likes fast ground. This is her sort of trip, I think, potentially. I mean, most of her runs have been over 12 furlongs, but she's looked in need of that sort of trip now, and with the ground going as it is, I think she's got a really good chance. For this season, earlier in the season, she's run twice on good to soft ground, which is not her ideal. Her good to firm run was over 10 furlongs, so this is the first time she's actually really got her conditions. And I mean, in March she was rated 108. She runs off 98 tomorrow, so I think she's really well handicapped to run well. And at 16-1, I thought that was a price that's too big when there's really nothing in the field that inspires. I mean, Whaler I thought was ridiculously short, considering, I mean, she was second in a listed race last time out, and she's gone down £5 for it, but she's clearly not progressing as much as she hoped last year, and she's definitely had problems because she's only been seen 4 times that in the past year. So, and there's been considerable gaps between those runs as well. So she's not one I trust. Al Saham is a very keen going type, and his only start over this trip he disappointed. So if he settled, then I think he's got a massive chance. But that is a big worry for me tomorrow because he doesn't settle very well, and that is the worry. Schweiman maybe could run well over this trip, and likes this ground. 2 starts back here, and he ran in the Gold Cup last time out, which I thought he had a squeak in actually. So yeah, but I do like Moment in Time. I'm going to go for her.
I can see where you're coming from with Moment in Time. Actually, this is a horse that I've actually liked for quite a while. But we have got Michael back now.
Yeah, my internet just completely disappeared, and then it takes ages to come back on. So I can only apologise. If you want me to just go through, I was going to pretty much agree with whatever Callum was saying on Bronze Angel. I thought that one just really stood out in what looks an average field in comparison to what Bronze Angel has been contesting recently. Braidley, I thought, needs a bit softer ground. If he got softer ground, I would have been quite keen on that one as well. In the 155, I don't know if you've spoken about Barnet Fair, but I really, really like this horse. Same mark as his win last summer when me and Luke were there. I think that was on like the end of July, at the end of July, so it's nearly a year on. He was really eye-catching at Epsom, just didn't quite, get into top gear. Ground is good. He's got a really good record here at Ascot. 50% record over course and distance. Then he's won twice from 5 starts at Ascot itself. Beat Steps last year and also Artug. So I really, really like Barnet Fair. And then I guess we're on to the 220. I think that's what you were just talking about then.
Yeah.
And I really like Nearly Caught there. I just worried about the ground, but having a look at the Sire and the Dam, both of them went on firm ground, so I wouldn't be surprised if he runs really well. I think this is the right distance. I think 2 miles does stretch him. But yeah, Nearly Caught for me in that race.
Now we're up to speed.
Yep.
Well, Will Bowler actually tweeted in last week, I think it was, or 2 weeks ago, Nearly Caught was his nap, and that didn't run on account of the ground. I haven't really got an overly strong view on this. I can see completely why Callum's going for a moment in time. Great Hall's another one at a price, ran in the Ledger last year. He's going to be going for the Ebor, I think. They bought him at the Craven Breeze Up sales. And I believe it is aimed towards the Ebor. So whether they'd want to win here to ruin a potential handicap mark, I'm not 100% sure. It's not a race I really want to get too stuck into. I don't know. If pushed,
you're really struggling, aren't you?
Genuinely, I'm really struggling with this one. If pushed, I may have to decide with Al Saham and hope that he settles. If he does, then it could be a much better horse than he's shown us so far. And I do think he's still a better horse than 101, but it is, as Callum said, the trouble of just getting him to settle. I'm going to really quickly move on from that race to the 2:30 at Ascot. Now, we've had in from Adam, or from Wobja via Adam, that he thinks Tullius is an absolute certainty here. Now, Tullius has got the best form on offer probably this season, but the ground, it's got to be completely against him, hasn't it, Michael?
No, I can't say it is. I think he's proved this season that he's really versatile on the ground. It was very fast ground at Royal Ascot, and he was only 2.5 lengths behind Toronado that day. So no, I can't really agree with that. And I think the other horses have got to step up to his level. I think he's definitely the Group 1, definite Group 2 performer in this field, and the rest are more around the Group 3 mark. I can't really pick anything outside of it. I think I've just put. He's been a revelation this year, and I just couldn't. I think now graphics out. I just don't think there's anything there that's really going to stand out. I think one that at an each way price is possibly Baltic Knight, who's second last time out. Showed a return to form. He was beaten a neck by Custom Cut. But those have been the two at the top actually. There you go, Tullius and Baltic Knight for me. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Mullif Killock, who I'd like to run well, but I think he's a bit short really.
I was going to ask you about Mullif Killock actually, because you usually give us a good line on him.
Yeah, I don't know. He'll run his race. He'll definitely run his race. But I do think Tullius, he beat him last time out, has definitely got the measure, even conceding £3.
Yeah, I thought it was more of an each way price, sort of 10 to 1. I think he's around at the moment.
If he was around the same price as Baltic Knight at 16s, I'd be definitely. But at 9 to 1, I just don't think it's good enough.
Fair enough. Callum.
Yeah, Tullius definitely the one to beat. And I definitely think he's proven himself on the ground. Like Michael said, he's run really well twice now on what you would describe definitely as both times good to firm ground. So I think he should be fine at tomorrow. Definitely the one to beat. Graphic, very, very solid campaigner, but he does need to find a career best for me. I mean, he's been beaten by Ocean Tempest here. He's been beaten by French Navy, and these are horses that would have a chance, but they're probably horses that wouldn't maybe not even win this race. I like Guest of Honour, who was third last year in the race and didn't really seem to go on from it throughout last year and early this season when he's well beaten by Graphic at Doncaster on soft ground on his return, but probably needed the run and he does prefer faster ground. But he beat Fencing last time at York and I thought he was valued for a lot further than that. He travelled like a dream, and I think this horse is just slowly but steadily improving, and considering he's only beaten a length and a half in this last year and also was unlucky to be beaten a length and a half, I do like him at around 6 to 1 compared to Tullius at 7 to 2, but they're definitely the clear ones. The most fascinating one for me by a country mile is Long John, who I just cannot weigh up, but I mean he didn't want 10 furlongs and really struggled in the UAE Derby where the races didn't pan out for him, and again, over a mile when he won the Guineas, it was a really poor race and he just absolutely demolished them. So this is going to be a lot tougher, but this is his trip and his ground. So I'd really like to see him run well tomorrow, but it's a major question mark. So I'm going to go for Guest of Honour.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Producer. I think I cocked up before at Royal Ascot getting the wrong horse, didn't I, Callum?
You went for Professor, I think. I've done the same, so...
yeah, I think everyone's done it, but I am actually going for Producer this time. I quite liked his performance at Ascot in the Group 1. He was only 3/4 of a length behind Tullius, and I think if they ride him a bit closer to the pace, then he could definitely get more involved. This is obviously a much weaker race than it was in the Queen Anne. A bit weird for a Dutch art to probably like faster ground as well. He doesn't mind it softer, but all his best form seems to come on a much faster surface. And if you look back through his performances at Goodwood, okay, write that one off because it was clearly a dud. Newmarket, he beat, was it French Navy? He beat, no, sorry, Red Jazz and Pastoral Player. Pastoral Player's obviously gone on to run one in some big handicaps. So he's been running in decent races, and that he won was a pretty strong event. Fourth behind Gregorian at Epsom. He was sort of considered an Epsom specialist at one point, which I think he's slowly losing that tag. But if he repeats the run of his that he put in the Queen Anne, then he can't be far away in this. And I'm quite keen on Producer actually, but none of you guys mentioned it, so I'm going to assume that I'm completely wrong. But
well, I was just going to mention that Queen Anne race where quite a few of them are running in that were in behind the main ones, but the pace was really strong that day. So considering Mullakillock was really close to it, and horses like Producer and Tullius were off the pace, I think he can be. Mullakillock has got a better chance than what he showed there. So I know Michael didn't really give him much of a chance, which I was a little bit surprised about, but I'd give him as good a chance as any of them in that race.
Yeah, I came close to putting him up. Sorry, as a each way selection, if I'm honest. But moving on to the superlative stakes of 240 at Newmarket. Actabante is one that came. Well, sorry, I should mention the winner of this race last year. Good old boy Lukey, great name. But Actabante is one that sort of had a tall reputation and disappointed really on the first on his first two starts, but got it right last time. Going up to ones more at the top of the market, Estidcar is probably the one to start. Closely related to Tormore. Would either of you give Estidcar a chance?
Yeah, got an obvious chance. I mean, second to beating Mustardine, last time out of Newbury, and that rival's gone on to win quite convincingly since, and they were miles clear. He's got an obvious chance. Really well-respected connections as well with the favourite Glen Eagles, who does have the ground to prove, but I mean, he's short at 2-1, I would say, but he's very much respected, and so is the other Hannon horse. There's a couple of a bigger price that I would be interested in, but I'm just not really convinced. I can't really find one that I really want to select, to be honest. So the two, I think Lieutenant Caffey ran a really good race at Haydock last time out, where on a day that was really hard to make up ground from behind, and he was held up in last, and he beat a decent little rival in a good novice race. So he wouldn't surprise me if he was far away, and he seems quite a lot like last year's winner in some respects, being trained by the same person and just that similar sort of profile. And Mr. Universe, who again was well clear with a horse called Homecomings, who's won since it as well in a good maiden, and he should go on the ground. So I think Mr. Universe and Lieutenant Caffey could spring a bit of a surprise here, and they seem plenty of value, but I just can't split either of them. I don't really know if I want to go for either of them and for one or over the other, so I'm going to leave it. But if I had to go and pick one, I'd go for Mr. Universe.
Yeah, I am going for Estidcar, who for me just needs time. I think on debut was absolutely clueless behind Portamento, but then ran on quite nicely to grab second. Then last time out of Newbury, again, had clearly come on for his first appearance, but just needed maybe that run as well. Found himself in front way too early and almost threw it away, actually, by hanging over to the far side. But I just think the more racing that he takes in, the better he's going to be. And maybe he might even be a better 3-year-old. But again, it's a race that it's fairly hard to nail your colours to. Actabante, as I mentioned, came in with a massive sort of portfolio, but hasn't really gone on from that yet. 14-1 could be an each way price about him, but it's hard to take him with any kind of trust. But Estidcar, if he takes another step forward tomorrow, I can see Estidcar going very close in this. As with the others, I don't know, it's hard to get excited about a lot of these. Cocker North's completely disappointed since winning the Brocklesby. Smay you'd probably have to give a chance to, but I'm willing to give Estidcar a chance. Michael.
Yeah, I must admit, I think the extra furlong, and he wasn't beaten too far, Cocker North, last time out, behind the Wild Signal, only 4 lengths. I wouldn't say he's disappointed. I think he definitely did. He was slow out the gate when he was second behind. It was Tiggy Wiggy, and that form has obviously not really been too bad. And then it's only 4 lengths. I wouldn't say he's really been disappointed.
He was never threatening Tiggy Wiggy though.
No. No, I know, but it wasn't an
No,
awful
no, yeah, yeah.
second. That horse is not not disappointing. I think it's just an superior horse over that distance, and I think the extra furlong will suit. I didn't realise that Eshtikar is a half brother to Tormore, which was very interesting considering that one was very good as a 2-year-old. I also like Mr.
Completely different.
And there's so many in this race that it's got question marks over. They've all got some decent reputations. A lot of them, I think, in fact, all of them have won before. And they're all meeting for the first time, and it all could go anywhere. But I think Mr. Universe is a very backable price at about 10-1. But I would be having an each way on Cock of the North as well.
Fair enough. Moving on now to the 255 at York, the John Smith's Cup. We had a chat before coming on air, Callum, and I almost put you onto Nabucco. I don't know if I managed to do that successfully, which on my head be it, but we were just mentioning how consistent a sort Nabucco is, and for that is paid his price is 109 rated now, but Kieran Schumacher's a fascinating booking, taking £7 off.
Yeah, Nabucco. I mean, I had 2 in the race anyway, so I can't really have 3. But that just sums up the race. It's a really, really strong race, and I'll definitely be taking on Bold Sniper at 5-1 because I think he wants 12 furlongs again, and he doesn't look the easiest of customers either. And I'd definitely be taking him on. Likewise for Farage, who looks very high in the weights now for 111. I know he's improved over on the turf on his return from the all-weather, but that's a real hard mark to win off. And the same for Clever Cookie, who I think this trip is a bit too short for him over this. On this mark of 107, I just think he's a bit vulnerable. Lower down the weights, there's 2 I do like who I think have a lot more to give off their marks. And one's Tahira, who I think a strong galloping 10 furlongs on fast ground could be absolutely ideal for this filly. She was unlucky in that Clever Cookie race on her return, or on first run actually for John Quinn, and then put his second to a horse called Running Deer at Chester, and again she was unlucky in running. And I think tomorrow could be where it all clicks into gear. And the other horse is the Sidebinster horse Tariki, who is a horse I've followed for quite a while. He was 3rd behind Maputo last year in a 10 furlong race at Newmarket. He was then unlucky at Ascot as favourite when he was drawn on the wrong side, and just had nothing go his way basically. His return was really promising, beating 2 lengths into 5th over 9 furlongs here, but he didn't look fit to me that day. I just didn't think he was ready to run his race and do himself justice. Off the same mark, hopefully he comes on for that run. I really like him tomorrow. So they're the 2 for me. They're fairly strong selections as well. Tahira and Tariki, which are fairly easy to remember seeing them begin with the first 2 letters of the same.
Yeah, beautiful English words as well.
Yeah.
Michael, you're starting to get stuck into the big handicap.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought the York handicaps were really, really interesting. I mentioned Clever Cookie in my notes. This has been a real revelation already over the flat, but I have to agree. I think on this kind of ground as well, this is really gonna stretch Clever Cookie out off 9 stone 7. The 2 that I've gone for include Tariki. I completely agree with what Callum said. The 2nd in the Britannia, and also 3rd for Maputo is very good form as a 3-year-old, and then this year was a really eye-catching 5th in return. So I completely subscribe to everything about Tariki, and also Chancery, which I know is one of your old favourites, Luke. I thought has got a very decent chance. Was 3rd behind Sheikh Zayed Road last time out. He's obviously gone and franked the form since at Newmarket. And I think, he's got a really good chance. Danny Talbot, David Ohm, Myra, they know what they're doing in these kind of handicaps. He's about 8-1 though, which is possibly on the short side, but it's a very competitive event. I must admit, I wouldn't be backing Red Avenger. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, I was saying one of us had to give Red Avenger a quick mention. I don't think even Adam fancies it tomorrow. I'm not sure. I've got a text of horses to read out at the end of the show that I will be saying what Adam fancies. But for me, I'm just sticking with one horse here, Nabucco, who's, as I mentioned, ultra consistent. Ran 6 times last year, won 3, 2nd twice, and 3rd once. On reappearance, he was inclined to need that behind French Navy and Windhoek. Both have since won. Windhoek, okay, didn't win the strongest race at Sandown, but nonetheless has shown his well-being. French Navy also won, beating Gregorian at Epsom. Gregorian's gone on to win a group race, but let's not get too heavy into that. The ground would be the main issue, and I know that was the main thing that Callum raised before the show. But for me, I just think he's one that handles soft ground, but isn't necessarily a soft ground horse. I think he's just very adaptable. He can take in faster ground. Like, second to Nice of You to Tell Me on good to firm ground isn't the worst form in the world, is it? I do think he's too high in the weights, but there's a fascinating jockey booking with Kieran Schumacher, who I think is one of the up-and-coming claimers. To take 7 off in a race like this, that could just be huge. I think off 109 he struggled, but taking that down to 102, I think he's well in with a big shout. And again, going back to what we were talking about before, he's much better weighted than the likes of Farage at the top of the weights, who's rated 111. I couldn't really be with Farage, and Trey Corona's obviously, he's taking a £3 claimer as well. I still think Trey Corona's could be a little bit high in the handicap after being in such good form earlier on in the year. I'm surprised Callum didn't mention his love for Queensbury Rules.
I was waiting for
That
that.
horse is a hound.
He says sarcastically. How many times has that horse been a good thing in the, was it Hunt Cup?
Oh, well, in big handicaps, yeah. I mean, it was unlucky in the Britannia, 2 years ago, and it's now been favourite for every handicap it's ever run in.
Unseasonal reappearance as well.
Yeah.
Not to take the mick too much out of the horse, of course. But moving on now to the 666 bet, not 888 bet, 666 bet Bunbury Cup. I was being the key word, quite sweet on Serious Prospect at a big price in this, but he's now a non-runner. And Field of Dream is also a non-runner as well. He's just come out, as well as Don't Bother Me, and that is it. Three non-runners. So we're in danger actually of having 3 places, because we're already down to 17 runners, which, as a betting front, that would completely ruin the race. Where to start, really? We'll start with AR. He was unlucky last time in the Hunt Cup. Whether he'd have won, I'm not sure. He'd probably definitely been placed. He came into the race absolutely tanking before getting broadsided. And I just have to update that. Redvers is also a non-runner, so we've got 16 runners at the moment. We're in severe danger of having a below 16 runner Bunbury Cup, which would spoil it for each way backers. But Michael, AR.
Yeah, I know. Well, I wasn't part of the AR Appreciation Society going into the Hunt Cup. Was it last time? Yeah, the Hunt Cup when he was 5th. I did back Field of Dream that day, so I was quite chuffed. But this is an interesting handicap. It's basically a repetition. All of the horses pretty much ran in handicaps at Royal Ascot, and you've got to work out which one's going to score again tomorrow. AR, I think, has definitely got a very good chance. Of the others, I thought Urtijal's very interesting entry. If they just decided to abandon any kind of group race with that one, when he was beaten 19 lengths by Night of Thunder in the 2000 Guineas, there's nothing that really stands out for me, I have to admit. And I can agree with the AR idea. Of the others, Louis the Pious, I don't think he's going to be able to put in another one. Same for Glenn Moss, has had a really good season already. There's Professor at the top, Luke, if you want to talk about that one. I think Horsted Keynes, in fact, could be the one to follow, a second behind Louis the Pious, and has been very progressive. Never out the first 3, it looks like, on his form. That's in the past 6 runs, but I don't think he's not exposed at all. He's about 9-1. So I think Horsted Keynes, just looking at it, would be the one. I can't have Absolutely So, which I'm sure Callum will be talking about. I just
fanning the fire there.
Not for me. That horse just didn't seem to enjoy it last time. I think you've got to expect better, but it's just not for me that tomorrow. So yeah, I'll be going with Horsted Keynes, I think. But I can understand the AR angle.
Yeah, I think with AR, 7 furlongs is going to be perfect for him it's probably perfect for him now, but he just really needs rattling fast ground, which he's not going to get in Newmarket tomorrow, unfortunately. You mentioned Urtijal. I don't really get what's going on with Urtijal. I'm in the same camp with you. Since his all-weather championships races and running at Lingfield on the all-weather, I just thought he is a sprinter. He just needs to go back to 6 furlongs, probably not 5. That would stretch him a bit. 7 furlongs, okay, it's a step in the right direction, but they've got blinkers on him for the first time, which he's a headstrong horse already. So surely they're just going to light him up even more. I really like the horse. 7 furlongs, I'm not sure blinkers are really needed. Are you going to say something, Michael? Or?
No, I completely agree. I just thought it was very interesting but also bizarre entry at the same time, and I can't really sum it up whatsoever. So I'll be watching him anyway to see how he runs. But it is just really I can't follow it. A horse that's run 2,000 guineas and won twice before that, never out the first two, is going to a handicap which is pretty much full of rather exposed sorts. If he is a really good horse, and he should beat these, but you don't. If he's being put in there, isn't that a vote of no confidence already?
Well, he gets the big 3-year-old allowance, so that could be one sort of way of looking at it. Horse to Kings, you mentioned, I didn't think looks right at Ascot in the pre-parade ring at all last time. So either I'm a horrific paddock judge, or he did really, really well to finish just behind Louis in second. It's more likely the first. Although I need not remind Michael of that glorious day at Goodwood.
When you didn't even know that the horse had won, and I had to break the news. That was the worst thing about it. You were like, "Oh, I've got third," and I was like, "He came first." What?
Well, no. The story was I had Wasim Faris each way, like a 5 each round or whatever for the last race of the day, and that got fourth. So I was cheering that on for fourth at 16s, and then I had £3 win on Tidal's Baby at 28 to 1 for fun, and I did not realise Tidal's Baby had won. But each to their own. Wasn't a bad thing. I'm still a bit annoyed that Serious Prospects come out of this, if I'm honest. Callum, are you sticking with AR?
No. Well, my original fancy in similar lights to you has been pulled out, which is Don't Bother Me, who I'd already backed anti-post, so that's money down the drain even before we started. Michael can't have Absolutely So. I can't have Absolutely So beat. I just think everything's right for him tomorrow. I know you're going to mention the fact that I backed him last time, but look, nothing went right for him.
Last time? Every time for the last year or something, isn't it?
A couple of times on the all-weather there.
You pretty much own the horse.
He's not a huge cliff horse. I haven't backed him that many times, but yeah, I did definitely back him last time out, and he was absolutely smashed off the boards late on, and then the ground was wrong for him. They came out, said the ground was totally wrong. He fell out of the stalls, was chasing on after that, and 7 furlongs on soft ground is exactly what he wants for me. He absolutely beat a decent enough field at Goodwood before then on his on turf. I just really like him tomorrow. I know he's price-wise as well, and I've got a better price, thankfully, than what he is now. But I think he should be a clear favourite, because I've got major doubts about the majority of the field. Horsted Keynes, I think, will really struggle on the ground. I think he wants fast ground. AR, similar. And I'm not sure about AR. I think he's maybe possibly vulnerable for a win. Absel, I'm stunned he's over 7 furlongs. I think he wants 10. So to see him over here was really surprising. Horses like Professor Louis the Pious, I don't think are well handicapped enough now. What else? Glenn Moss, I think, has got a pretty decent shout, to be honest, back at 7 furlongs on softish ground, which he goes fine on. And Georgian Bay, who was a fancy last time as well in the Louis the Pious race. I thought he was unlucky that day, and the Vice has really improved him, so he could be one to pop up. But again, I just wasn't sure about the ground for him. I know that's a reoccurring theme tomorrow, but he's not really got any proven form on soft ground, so that's the only thing that put me off. And if the ground dried out to decent ground, I'd definitely back him at 16s. And Absolutely So, though, is my main fancy, and that's both of Price-wise his selections.
Well, going back to Abseil, you mentioned he wanted 10 furlongs.
Yeah.
It's watching race back last time at the Hunt Cup. He was far too keen early on.
He wasn't though at Epsom.
For the moment.
Well, he was actually quite keen at Epsom. Yeah.
I don't know whether it was the occasion just getting to him with Royal Ascot, which would be a more than acceptable excuse, really. But I don't know. For me, it looked like he didn't quite stay a mile, which is absurd, obviously. But I don't know whether it's just Royal Ascot got to him. I'm not sure. 10 furlongs, I don't think is right for him just yet.
No, maybe they're putting him in here, I don't know, potentially to try and get him to settle. But I was stunned to see him at 7. I just don't think it's the right decision at all. And his most impressive performance was over 9 furlongs when he beat Clonarman Lad, and that's really strong form. And Velox in behind, who's won since as well. So look, I think he wants 9, 10 furlongs, and 7 is not for me for him, with a hood on as well. Bit strange.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I did. Well, when we saw Abseil at Ascot in the Hunt Cup, I was really taken with him in the pre-parade ring. Actually, he's a beautiful horse. He's one of the best horses I've seen on flat-wise. Anyway, I'm gonna have to do it and stick with AR. After Serious Prospects come out, I'm struggling to really strongly fancy something. AR, the worry is the ground, of course. 7 furlongs is his trip. He just sneaks in at the bottom of the weights. He's a better horse than 97. I think we can agree on that. He looked laid out for last time in the Hunt Cup, and it didn't come to fruition at all. Nice of you to tell me. Broadsided him about a furlong and a half out, and that was his race run. He still stayed on to be 5th that day. Ran a really nice race, went 4th in the Victoria Cup. It was softer conditions that day as well, so maybe I might be overthinking the ground for him, but I'm going to give AR another chance, and probably another chance after that, and another chance after that. But it's not a strong selection whatsoever. Horsted Keynes I can see going well at prices. Well, not at a price really, because he's been backed. He's now about 8 to 1. But it wouldn't surprise me to see Horsted Keynes take another step forward. He looked, as Michael said, completely unexposed. But we move on now to the 3:30 at York, and hopefully, I have a feeling we might agree on a couple here. I know Adam is very, very keen on Kingsgate Native. He's got rattling fast ground again, and that seems to be the major thing for Kingsgate Native. Callum, are you with your boy here?
He's got an obvious chance because, like you said, he's got his ground, and he's in as good a form as he's been for he's just such a consistent horse, and you know he wins from time to time. He hasn't won for over a year, but he's run some absolute corking races and in races better than this, and I think he's got a very, very good chance. The one I do like though, and I just think he's a real up and coming sprinter. I know he's getting on, but he's actually quite lightly raced for a 7-year-old. Take Cover, I thought, ran an absolute screamer in the King's Stand, where he was beaten only 3 lengths in that race behind Soul Power, obviously, and I just thought that was a really good run. I love the way he travelled. He's a real perfect type for York. He's won here before and won here impressively. He's rated 109 now, and I think he could eke out a bit more, and that would be good enough to win this. So I think Kingsgate Native and Take Cover are definitely the ones to be on. They're just the best horses at this stage, and especially on the ground when plenty of us I think need cuts, particularly in rifles. Megas Angel, Monsieur Joe, they're all better on with cutting the ground. So I'm going to go for Take Cover at 8 to 1, considering Kingsgate Native is half it.
Yeah, that's understandable. Philip Dinsdale's come in and said that Kingsgate Native will not be beat. So confidence behind Kingsgate Native there. Adam was very bullish earlier on. I think I'm going to, for win purposes, I'll take Kingsgate Native as well. Obviously, completely dodged Ascot. Going back to what I said previously about Abseil, apparently he just can't handle the big occasion. It boils over, and he just loses his chance before the start, which is understandable. He ran a really good race at Sandown last week behind Extortionist, who I'd probably want him beating Extortionist if I'm honest, but it could just be me underestimating the Ollie Stevens horse. Each way, I wanted to mention down the bottom, Reroute. There was oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
You've even worn the colours.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'll make like 2 points, and then you can
go
make them again. Reroute was really well backed at Bath behind Ladies Are Forever, but then drifted late on. It looks again that there's a bit of money for him into 16s, and it's tongue-tied first time as well. Last time out caught my eye, came into the race travelling really nicely and didn't really go on with it before staying on again, not too takingly, but staying on. Maybe there's a bit of a breathing problem there, but tongue-tie, if there is, should sort that out, and 16 to 1 could be a big price. And I'd just like to mention G-Force as well. Now, if you remember last time, G-Force was the gamble of all gambles at Sandown, and there literally wasn't a person in the north that didn't have money on him. But it finished 3rd. Usually the Dave O'Mara lot, if the money's down for something, they're not really wrong about the horse. So I'd be willing to give him another chance. I know, Callum, you were quite sweet on G-Force last time, weren't you?
I thought he was going to win. I didn't back him. I thought he was quite short, but I thought he ran well, and it's a good race. That, I mean, it's already worked out pretty well. I mean, Hey Chewed, I think, has formed, like you mentioned with Reroute. I think she ran second in that.
Last week.
And
or two.
Yeah, so Windfire as well is a decent enough horse. He's going to have to improve, but he's a winner at York, isn't he? So yeah, he's got a decent chance.
He's entitled to improve as well. Only 4 runs. As a sprinter, 3-year-olds they don't really come into themselves too much, which is probably talking down Reroute a little bit there. But I'll let Michael talk about Reroute now, and I apologise for stealing the selection as well.
No, that's okay. I think, didn't we see Reroute finish at Goodwood, I think, when we were there last year?
Yeah, he lost a shoe that day.
Yeah, didn't run it well at all. But I'm just sure that there's a race in here. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow, but it's about 20 to 1, I think you can get a bet 365. That's definitely an each way price. I'd love Kingsgate Native to win because he's such an old servant at 9 years old. To see him would be amazing. But the thing is, Reroute gets a stone from Kingsgate Native. Has run really well this season without really she's promised a lot but hasn't fully gone through with the effort. And yeah, I've pretty much marked out all 3 horses you spoke about, Luke. The other one was G-Force, who looks really progressive, only had 4 starts, and should surely be forgiven that race at Sandown. I think this track should suit better. But yeah, Reroute as an each-way price is very much one for me, but I would love Kingsgate Native to win. But I would say that perhaps 7-2 is a bit short, and I would also say 11-4 about G-Force is a bit short. I'm surprised that one's favourite, really. I'm surprised that Take Cover and Kingsgate Native aren't really towards the head of the betting. But yeah, definitely Reroute 20-1 is definitely worth an each-way shot.
Yeah, I'm surprised I was actually agreed on. I was expecting to sort of be laughed at for putting on Reroute, but okay. Well, now I think you're going to have to turn your speakers down for this bit. The 350 at Newmarket, the Dali July Cup. Callum, do you want to sing our fancies, or do you just want to chant it?
I forgot the board. Just remembered I forgot the board. It's upstairs.
Oh.
I forgot the board, yeah. It's upstairs, sorry.
Did you show the board last time?
Yeah.
Go get the board and we'll talk about the race.
Okay.
Oh, I hate that Callum, don't you?
Yeah, never liked him.
Oh no, I hate him so much. I assume that we're going to agree on Slade Power.
I think we are all on Slade Power, and just everything just seems right. Like, he's really not ground dependent whatsoever. He'll just do whatever you want him to do, and I just fully expect him to go on and win, to be honest. I think the only other interesting one is perhaps Due Diligence at 5-1, but that's a bit short. I just think Slade Power's got the measure, beat him last time out. Of the others, there's not really. I think Cougar Mountain could be one for the future, but on a second start in this kind of race, I just find bizarre. But yeah, it's all about Slade Power, I think.
Yeah, I'm finding it so hard to get anything within a length of Slade Power. The only thing that people could sort of jeer him for last time beforehand, is the ground was a bit too fast, which proved. Oh, Alan's back. Yeah, we've got the board. You took longer than I expected.
Yeah.
But with Slade Power, the only thing that people were able to pick up him before the race was the ground was too fast, which he's not ground dependent whatsoever. He can go on absolutely anything. And if they're branding him a soft ground horse beforehand in the Diamond Jubilee, and that ground was too fast, surely he's an absolute certainty today. He's just got to beat the same horses over again. The only worry for me would be Al Jamahir. On this softer ground, it could turn into a bit more of a stamina test, and that would suit down to the ground.
Yeah, but he won't want the ground. He needs it fast, surely.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying it's going to beat him in any way. I can't see anything beating Slade Power tomorrow. He's an absolute good thing. But Gregorian, even at a price, he doesn't want 6 furlongs, but if it does turn into a stamina test, he could be running on late on, maybe pick up 3rd. But you can't see Slade Power getting beat. And I'm going to pass you over now to Slade Power's biggest fan, Callum Adele.
It doesn't get beat for me tomorrow. I just think I think he's a serious horse now. I got this board when he ran as a 3-year-old in the on Champions Day, and because I genuinely thought he could be a potential Group 1 horse in the future, and he finally got that Group 1 last time. And considering they went quite a fast pace, and he just was right up with that pace, and then kicked on further, and took the brunt of that quite strong pace. I think he's just got everything covered tomorrow, and the ground makes it even more a positive for him because the horses he beat just in behind in the Diamond Jubilee, like Due Diligence, I don't think want this sort of ground. I know he's won on yielding to soft, but I think he wants it fast ideally. Nuzu Canarius, I think, will go fine on it because, I mean, he's got some good runs on soft ground, including when second to Caraconti. So he won the Guineas in the Jean-Louis Lagardère, and then he won in Spain, albeit probably a donkey race. But he still won on soft ground. So I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine on the ground, and he's the clear main danger for me to Slade Power because he's just the unknown factor with him, and he does look a very, very fast and good horse. So bar that, I think Hot Streak could run well because he gets his ground as well. I think he's good £5-6 better on soft ground, but 6 furlongs maybe not as good as 5 furlongs, and so I think he'd need a bet. And I just think Slate Power could be too good for them. I think it's just as simple as that. If I gave one at a price, I thought Justice Day might outrun his odds at 33s because I noted last time I noted down, I said I think he's a 110 horse on soft ground over 6, and considering quite a few of these might not go in it, could sneak him a place. So Justice Day at 33s, but it's all about Slade.
The one actually that I just noticed that I think has got a really good chance at 20-1 and has a good Newmarket record is actually Astaire, who the ground was not a problem whatsoever, and also beat Hot Streak at Newmarket in the Middle Park last year. Yeah. It was at Newmarket, but it was the Rolling Mile course, and he's 20-1. He set a lightning pace when Slade Power won that day. I think he'd be closer over a bit of softer ground, and also if he didn't set such a lightning pace, I think he's got a really good chance. Not Callan on him is 3 out of 4, so he's got a much better win record than any other of the jockeys. In fact, only Jamie Spencer has won on him before. Richard Hughes lost on him, and also another run from Jamie Spencer. So I think, yeah, he's got a really good chance. Also, Kieran Fallon lost on him as well. But that was in the Greenham Stakes, so I think we can forgive that.
Did you call him Callan?
Callan.
I swear you said Callan.
Yeah, I thought you said Callan.
Either that's my internet or it just came out wrong when I said
Nicolas. Is Nicolas riding us there? Sorry, that's quite harsh of me. Did I cut you off in your prime then?
No. I think I was literally just fading out.
Yeah, it's just the thing about Slade Power last time that impressed me so much is I didn't have him down as a really like genuinely fast 6 furlong horse. I thought one that may want to grind it out, and completely proved me wrong by sitting up with the early pace, and then he showed his grinding out abilities by staying there the whole time. He was never out the first 3. Stamina came into play. He has so much speed early on. He just looks like the complete package this season. And it's a silly question, but we're all going to nap him, aren't we?
Yeah.
Was that a yes from Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we did that at Ascot, and he duly obliged. So. It's just, he doesn't get beat, does he?
Yeah, I keep telling myself that.
It's just, I was delighted to get 5s with a Sky Bet offer earlier in the week. But yeah, I just can't even beat. I would like to say one thing about it was with Paddy Power actually. Slade Power and Soul Power. They tweeted a guy called Wes Welker who plays NFL for the Denver Broncos, who owns Undrafted as well. They tweeted him as a joke, and they've now set up. And he replied, obviously saying good luck and everything. And then they've now set up a match bet between Soul Power and Slade Power. And if Undrafted beats one of them, then Paddy Power has to give 5,000 euros to charity. And if Undrafted doesn't beat either of them, then Wes Welker gives 5,000 to charity. So I thought that was a really nice initiative, and fair play to both of them as well. But I have a feeling Mr. Welker will be 5,000 euros down after tomorrow. But that's it. We don't really have to do naps, do we? Because we've just done them.
Yeah.
So naps are Slade Power. Michael, have you got a naughty luck 15 for us?
Yep, I have indeed. 240 Newmarket, Cock of the North. Obviously, that's one's been a regular since he was 25 to 1 winner in the Brocklesbury. Cougar Mountain in the 350 at Newmarket. That's where Adam picks up his chicks. Hot Spice, which is a 6-member of Spice Girls named after me, in the 440 at York, and also one that Dream Alley in the 815 at Hamilton.
God.
Okay. I mentioned earlier on that Adam has texted in his selections, and surprise, surprise, we all napped Slade Power at Ascot, and Adam didn't. We've all napped Slade Power at Newmarket. Adam hasn't. Adam's napped Kingsgate Native. He's read Avenger each way. He has his ideal conditions finally. Discussion to follow. Absolutely so. Don't bother me. Is that a non-runner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a non-runner, and he does fancy Slade Power this time. He fancies Nuzo Canarius, but the ground dampens his enthusiasm, in his words. But Slade is going to win. We've got a few questions in. One, thank you very much, Sean, for this question. What will be the combined winning distance of all the races shown on Channel 4? Now, there's 10 races. I've noted down the distances, and for fun, we're going to do it. We've got
God's sake, Sean.
We've got a mile race, 5 furlongs, a mile and 6, a mile again, 7 furlongs, a mile and 2, and 88 yards, 7 furlongs, 5 furlongs, and 6 furlongs. Does anyone want to start us off with a pointer? I have no idea what number to start with.
26.
Yeah, I was going to say about that. I'll go 24 and a half. And a nose.
I'll go 30, dead on, 30.
I mean, Slade probably wins by 10.
I mean, Slade will be half. So Callum 24 and a half, me 30, Michael
26.
26, right? Okay. I'll note them down actually. 24.5.
I've already done it if you want.
Oh, you've already done it. Okay, well I won't note it down then. I won't note it down. Thank you very much. We mentioned earlier on that Wabier thinks that Tullis is certain. A question from the other day from Sean again. What do you think of the Pretzel Table Rock result? Do you agree Table Rock won? Now, me and Callum had a discussion about this before, and I never thought Pretzel actually won. Like even as they went past, I thought Table Rock would won it, and then it's fairly conclusive on the photo finish evidence, isn't it?
Yeah, when I looked at it first, I got the photo finish. The heads, I think me and Michael did the same, but the heads, you can't differentiate between the heads, and then when you look at it closely, it's clear that Table Rock's got it.
I never had that problem really. I looked at it, I was like, what's the problem? Tom Marriott, our good host on Bet Race Nation tomorrow, has gone for a double with Continuum and Tariki, so more Tariki love here. Phil Dinsdale has come in a lot. We're going to be mentioning Phil Dinsdale quite a bit here. Slade Power has to win. We can't let the Yanks beat our horses, which is a fair point. Jeff Hanley's also sent loads of selections. Georgian Bay at 20-1. In the superlative, he's gone for Ested Kai, agrees with me on that one. The Newbury Fort has been enhanced there. And he also fancies Horsted Keynes as well as Georgian Bay in the Bunbury Cup. Phil Dinsdale also fancies Horsted Keynes, and Kingsgate Native will not be beat, as we mentioned. Coming back to what me and Mike were saying about Reroute, he's lost too much money on Reroute, but he can't back her anymore, which is probably fair. I imagine he's not the only one to do that. And one that we didn't really mention for the July Cup, Jeff Hanley fancies Hot Streak at 14-1. Well, he got Hot Streak at 14-1. Better at 5 furlong, but has his preferred going on Saturday, which is fair enough. And Phil Dinsdale's come back in and said the Kingsgate Native and Slade Power double tomorrow. That's a good thing, apparently. Do we agree on that?
Props.
Yeah, essentially.
Half of it definitely is anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to look like such idiots tomorrow if Slade Power doesn't. Well, it's been a long one tonight, guys. 10 races, but I think we got through it absolutely fine. And we're all still alive. But have we enjoyed ourselves?
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, great fun. I want to go eat now. Thank you very much just for everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week. We'll be back on Saturday, just our one show next week, I'm afraid. Thank you for joining, I would say us, but thank you for joining on the other Hoof this week with all our Newmarket previews. And until next Saturday, goodbye.